We're back on my working laptop this week, guys, so less
Yeah, we
cuts.
are.
I'm pretty proud of the amount I've managed to cut. It's not... You wouldn't know the technical difficulties we had last episode. Like, you'll know we'll have some, but it'll be... You'd think it was, like, a little issue. Like, it's
We had so many.
major problems.
It took us like an hour and a half to film.
Hello, welcome back to Teather Time. I'm Frederica. I'm joined by...
Eleanor!
And we're talking about things. This week, I have questions for Eleanor. She has questions for me. But first of all, Eleanor, what have you done this week?
Well, my dissertation is due in 13 days. So I'm writing that. And while it is stressful, what is quite fun is that I've now got into the zone where I'm just like fully sunk into it. It was really hard to make myself stop working today to go and do this. But I was like, well, I can't cancel now because it was like 45 minutes ago. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that to Frederica. And
Also, you need breaks, dearest.
Yes, I need breaks. I was like,
Hun.
the fact that I can't stop is a good sign that I need to stop. So I'm going to like power through the next 2 weeks. And then my poster is due 5 days after that. And then I'm going on holiday. So in approximately 3 weeks' time, I'm going to die. Yeah, that's the plan. Knowing my luck, my Viva will be on the like day after I get back from holiday, so I won't have any time to rest. Yeah. What have you been up to? What have you been doing?
Well, I filmed in the last 7 days. I filmed 2 podcasts. I've edited one of them. I made a video. I've been playing a new D&D game for my group. That's what my videos are about.
Who else are you podcasting with?
No, because this is Elder. This is the second podcast in a week. Because we filmed it. We've changed when we're filming.
I
So
thought you were cheating on me.
No, I'm not cheating on you. Don't worry. We filmed a Sunday, then we filmed a Thursday, and now we're filming on the Tuesday. So in the space of 10 days, we filmed. This is our 3rd episode.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ahead now. We're like this podcast isn't going up for another 12 days. Like we're a week ahead. We could just skip a week and no one would even notice. It's great.
We might have to skip a week for my dissertation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth building up the buffer because I mean, my aim is season 1. I don't want to spoil it, people who might be really dedicated. That are dedicated listener. Hello, Emma. My aim is for season 1 to finish about when we both start our new uni courses. Because I'm like, neither of us are going to want to film for like a month, and I feel like we'll either really want to do a podcast and talk about things, but we might take like a week off in like my freshest week. Or I think I'll be able to find the time though because I'm living at home. I'll just film on a Sunday. It'll be great. Yeah, so we'll probably find time. But
I will be commuting though, so I will, and I've not commuted before, so I think I'll be. Well, I've commuted before, but only for 2 weeks, so I think I'm going to be exhausted.
But I tell you now, having commuted an hour and a half to college, which I know isn't every day, but like when I was doing that, you get really used to the commute really, really quickly, and it just becomes like a fact of life. I
think the first week I'm going to be really tired though.
But the bonus is, to film now, all we have to do is get out one of our phones and just prop it up. Well, both our phones prop it up, and we're talking to each other in person, so I feel like it will be... The major issue is going to be getting our parents to not interrupt us, because I don't think they'll know we're filming a podcast. They'll be like, oh, they're just talking, and then they'll be like, do you want...
We'll have to... we'll have to put a sign on the door being like, podcast recording, very important, don't come in. And then the cat will come in through the window.
Yeah,
People will like that, though.
We'll do it in the living room, and the cat will appear, which will be nice. There'll be a good, like, where the cat's not saying anything.
Yeah, I think the good people of the internet would enjoy a cat cameo more than a mum and dad cameo.
Yeah,
so
I think it'll be funny though if Bart comes in and it's like, "Would you like a cup of tea?"
Yeah, we've got to live up to every English stereotype. So
yeah, that, and then I'm playing a whole new D&D campaign. It's not really work, and yeah, I got my offer accepted, so I am going to a uni to do computer science in September. And I've also been very proud of myself. I have a bunch of really boring tasks to get through for moving to uni, and the only ones I've got left are student finance and move back to my GP at home. And so those are the only 2 tasks. And I tried to do GP one, but I couldn't go into the GP surgery without a mask on, and I didn't have one with me. So I was like, well, excuse not to do this. So I just walked off. But yeah, I've also got student finance to do, which is just I couldn't do till I got my offer. So I've only not been doing that for 2 days. But this actually feeds into one of my questions, right, Anna? Because I'm back on the getting thing. Having read Building a Second Brain, Right, but I found it actually only came out in June of this year. I'm a very, very early reader of this book, and I didn't realise.
That's so funny.
Because it was like, I'd seen like the YouTube videos about it, all two of them, so I was like, oh, this must just be a normal thing. But yeah, so I've been really reading Getting Things Done because I want to put those ideas into my second brain. There's a lot of books where I'm like, oh, I want to reread these because I now want to capture the ideas from them so I remember them long term. Because like Getting Things Done I've read like 2 times before, I don't really remember. So I'm reading it a third time to pick up the ideas that I can like throw into my system, which is good. I'm collecting loads of ideas. And it means I've gone back to a traditional to-do app because I've been using Notion to manage to-dos for like a year and a half, and it has not worked. It's so much effort to use Notion for that. I don't like it. So I've moved back to TickTick. But my question for you is, what productivity app do you use? And like, how do you use it? And why are you using that productivity app? We can like address these one by one.
Well, we could just make this week tell me about your favourite productivity apps and why week, and then we could both do it.
So do we want to do like a full like state of the apps? Do you want to go over like every app? We could try and go over as many apps as possible.
We can if we're feeling hardcore. Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
App time.
So I feel like let's see how long we talk about productivity apps for. If we need more apps, we'll do more. But because I feel like if we're gonna do state of the apps, we should have like introed it better. We should have been.
I don't really know what involves. I find this podcast so funny because you're all like, I've read these books and I've done this thing, and I'm like, I've just sat in my room and thought about stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'd say is like, when I say state of the apps, I mean we go through and we talk about like what apps we're using for like as many things as possible. Like what are you using as like your email app? What are you using to manage tasks? Like all of that stuff.
Okay. I mean, I could do all of that.
Let's start with productivity. We'll start with productivity.
Let's start with productivity.
Yeah.
So productivity apps that I use, I guess, would be.
Let's narrow it down because productivity is a big thing. Let's start with what do you use for like your to-do, like your task management? Do you use a task manager?
I use Todoist to do to-do lists.
Yeah.
And I use Notion. Well, I'm currently using Notion for my project work. Is there anything else I should be thinking of under that category?
I don't know. Do you use a piece of paper sometimes? Do you have
No.
how do you keep track of your like uni work? Does your uni work go into the Todoist, or do you have a separate system for that?
So what I've previously been doing is like using. Well, I had a diary and I was putting stuff in that, and then I was using Todoist, and then this semester I haven't really had very much uni work that isn't just like consistent things I have to do. Oh no, I know what happened. It was partly most of it was just consistent things I had to do each week, so I could just remember all of them. But I was using Todoist and my paper diary, and then in April I got rid of the paper diary because it wasn't working for me anymore. And so at that point I switched to just using Todoist. But at that point all I had to do was write essays, and I knew those were coming up, so I didn't have to like necessarily use anything. I was using Todoist in a very kind of half-assed way where it was like, I'd be like, oh, I need to do this thing for this essay next, I'll put it in Todoist. But they were like 1,000 to 2,000 word essays, so I didn't necessarily need like a long list of all the things that I had to do for them. Sometimes what I do is I'll put them in Word, like I'll start the document and then I'll tick things off through Word and going through them.
Yeah.
But now for my project, because it's a much bigger thing, so I can't, with those I can get away with being quite rubbish with the organisation. For my project, I have a Notion page set up. I'm super proud of it. Where I have a database with all the tasks that I need to do. So I have 3 pages within my project page for Notion. I have notes, tasks, and now I have a figure list. So in the task page, I have things sorted by like what kind of work they are, what date I need to do them, a little description, have I done them or not. And now, as of today, because I previously had it sorted, so it was like by thing, so it was like lab work, tasks, writing, and then I added poster and Viva stuff. And then I had them sorted by date. But that was no longer relevant because when I was doing the lab work, I was doing things on specific days. But now I'm just doing whatever is the highest priority. And then I was like, priority. So I've now added a new category, and now they're sorted by priority. So I've got 3 priorities. Priority 1 is get this done ASAP. Priority 2 is you do have to do this before you hand in your dissertation. Priority 3 is it'd be nice, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So I can sort all the stuff like that. And because I'm just doing one project at the moment, that's all I have to think about. So doing it in Notion works very nicely.
What to-dos do you use Todoist for then?
Todoist I use for like houseworky stuff. I'm not using Todoist a whole lot at the moment. Or like Todoist I use a lot for like, oh, I need to remember to do this thing. So like I need to return some stuff to the charity shop because I bought it and it didn't fit me. I'll put that on my to-do list. And at the moment, I'm not really using the projects because it doesn't matter if I don't use the projects because it's just a list of things to get done. I'm using it as the equivalent of when you have a piece of paper and you stuck it to your fridge and you write all the things you need to do on them and you cross them off, but it's a bottomless piece of paper.
So this is going to be I don't know if let me see if I can phrase this right. Are you someone who bases your to-do off due dates or like projects or like another priority system? So is it, when you see your list of projects, your list of tasks, are you looking at them in terms of these are all the things I could do right now? How are you prioritizing them? Is it like this is the thing that I've like given this a date that has to get done by, or are you prioritizing based on like priority and project and time and that kind of stuff? What's the main axis of organization?
I mean, I would prioritize by what I need to, like, deadlines, but they're not self-imposed deadlines, they're real deadlines.
So on your like to-do app, do you give things like a date they have to be completed by?
So you can't do that on Todoist, which is really annoying.
You don't give due dates on Todoist?
So you give a due date, but then that's the only day it appears on.
Do you not have like a 7-day screen?
Yes, but I don't find it works to put things on the actual due date. Because sometimes you need to start doing something 3 weeks before the actual due date, if it's an essay.
Yeah.
So I do like a due date instead of a due date, is how I use it.
Okay.
But also, I tend to use Todoist as like, it depends how rigorous I'm being with it. At the moment, because I'm very much focused on my dissertation and everything else, I'm just sort of letting slide a bit. I'm not being super rigorous with it. And I'll just put things in, and then I tick them off. And then if they don't get ticked off, I either move them into another date. I'll just shift things to the next day.
Yeah.
And because it's not like a project, it doesn't matter in the same way if I'm not super rigorous with how I use it.
Yeah, and then on Notion, do you use like, is it just by projects in Notion, I assume? The task is just, here's all the things I need to do for my dissertation, you're using priority.
Yes, but I've also got them categorized. So I've got lab work, to-dos, which are like basically creating figures, doing data analysis, writing, and then I've got poster and viva.
So you're doing, it's basically, you're using, that's a really stereotypical GTD thing of using, he'd refer to it as context. So like, he was writing the book, David Allen was writing the book when it was like, when you were still doing, there was a computer at the office and computer at home, so you'd have tasks that you need to do at the office and tasks you need to do at home.
I actually have them a separate category for do at home and do at uni, because some of the tasks that I did, that's not relevant anymore, but some of the tasks were things I could only do on uni computers.
Yeah. So I've started so I use, for my to-do, I am moving everything to do with to-do lists into TickTick. Exclusive. I've used TickTick before. I really like it. It just really works for my brain. So if I load TickTick up so that I can talk you through how I've got it set up, because it'd be easier if it's in front of me.
See, I was going to share my screen and then I was like, no, there's no point and the people won't be able to see it.
So I am I'm a folders person, not tags normally, but what I've started doing in TickTick is I have, I'm using Para to organise things, so I'm not sharing screens to you, Ellen, I'm just talking through it, because there's no point you being able to see it.
I was going to say.
So I have in TickTick, I'm storing two sorts of lists. I'm storing someday maybes and like actionable tasks. So I've got a list of projects which are like things I'm doing right now. So I've got Tether Time, Move to Hearts Uni, Learning to Drive, new D&D game, Scorch Esports, YouTube. Those are all things which in my monthly review I did yesterday. I like had realized I had goals for. I was like, these need projects. I've written those down in my to-do system because now they've kind of got a place to find ideas. I know where to put things I want to do down. And then I've got some areas as well, which are bigger things like housework and finance and medical stuff that I just need to remind myself to do. And so what I'm doing is the real big difference I've made is this time going through TickTick. I due date things because I want them to appear in my today thing. And TickTick, if you go into the project, if you're in the project, TickTick will show you all the tasks of that project no matter what the due date is. If you go into, I'm going to sneeze and ruin this monologue. If you go into the today screen, it only shows you what you need to do today or the 7-day screen. So,
Yeah.
big sneeze.
That was such a big sneeze.
If you go into the project, you see them all, so it's great. And then what I've started doing is I've started tagging them with how long do I estimate this task to take, which is great because I do
that on Todoist. It's really handy.
It's so good because it's like, oh, I've got like 10 minutes. I'm like, gonna do this thing. Like I can just look at the 10-minute tasks. And when I see it only takes 10 minutes, it's just my brain is like, oh yeah, this is only gonna take 10 minutes or like a 3-minute task. Yes, I know you want to do. There's like these tasks where it's like 2 minutes is like short enough. I've done it. 3 minutes is just getting to this like, oh, I'll write that down somewhere and do it later. So I block. And then you can batch them and it's just better.
So I've just remembered a thing that I started doing on Todoist, which I'm not using at the moment because I don't need to. Because, I mean, basically the reason I'm not properly using Todoist at the moment is Todoist and TickTick and apps like that are really useful if you've got multiple projects going on.
Yeah.
But all I have to do is my dissertation and housework. Next year, I'll probably go back to using Todoist a lot more.
Yeah.
For because I'm going to be running a guide unit again, probably hopefully running D&D, and I'll be doing my PhD, which I'm sure within that there'll be other things that I need to do. So it will be useful to have the different sections and things, but at the moment, because it's just one project, it's all in one place.
Yeah, no.
But the thing that I did with Todoist was I used filters, I think it was called. Oh no, that's it. So I used labels with filters. I'm looking at it now. And I've got a category where it's so I would label things as at uni or at home because I got fed up of being at uni and seeing something like phone the GP on my to-do list, which I can't do at uni because I need the privacy of being in my own house. And the same thing so I've got one which is like anything that's tagged as at home comes up, and then the get stuff done category. I've not got anything in it at the moment, so I can't remember, but I know I set it up cleverly. So it has to be at uni, and then I think it has to be it has to be tagged as uni, and then it has to be, and then it sorts it by how long it's going to take or priority. I think it sorts it by priority, but it also has to be today or the past.
Yeah.
It can't show me stuff that's in the future, so I would just do the things that I need to do that day. And that's really handy for getting through a bunch of things in one day. Yeah,
no, it makes sense. So why did you originally use Todoist? What made you go to Todoist?
Ooh, it was a while ago. So I was using Google Keep Notes. I was also using paper still. Back in the olden days, I was using paper. And then also kind of Google Keep Notes if I was out and about and I needed to do something. But that just ends up, and the same thing with Google Keep Notes, exactly the same problems you get on paper. It's just like an endless sort of stream of notes. And I knew nothing about productivity at this point, so the idea of projects and all of that was completely foreign to me.
I hadn't thought you the ways.
Yes. And so it was just a I think I'm probably just searched for a to-do list app on Google Play Store, or searched for good to-do list apps on Google, and was like, well, I'll try this one out. And I was like, oh, this is so much better. And then the idea of the fact that you could sort stuff into categories was really useful to me. So I really like Todoist. I probably wouldn't use it now if I discovered it now. because you now have to pay to get more than 5 projects.
That's why I didn't use it, because I loaded up. It's like 5 projects. I was like, that's not enough.
Right? And because I don't use it consistently enough, it's not super helpful. I do, like, the way I've now got it. So basically, when they made that change, they didn't to say to all the
TikTok's
freebies
done
you
the
have
same
to delete
thing.
all your...
I've got my old TikTok account, so I've got all my pay lists, and I can't add any more, so I just have to keep renaming them, like I know you do on Todoist.
Although what I was doing for a while, I was like archiving them and then bringing them out in the archive, and then they changed that, so now all of my archived projects are useless to me because when I try and unarchive them, it goes, "You're gonna pay for that."
Yeah. I have
so,
a folder called resources where I keep my not in use projects.
Yeah, no, that's smart. You can't really do folders like that. I think TikTok has more customization options than Todoist, but I really like the simplicity of Todoist. And it's got really handy things like, I mean, TikTok might have this as well, but Todoist has, like, you can get a little, I don't know what they're called. When you pull down the top of your phone screen and you've got all the things at the top, like Wi-Fi and stuff.
Yeah.
There's one of those buttons which is Todoist.
Oh, I don't know if TikTok can do that. I wouldn't want that, but I could. That might be useful.
So you can just tap that, and then in front of, you're on Chrome, you go, oh, I need to go shopping. You tap that, and it brings it up, and you just put it in. And there's also a Chrome extension.
I was using, I don't want to like at myself, but for the last 2 weeks before I've reinstalled TikTok, I was using Google Tasks, not like just Google Tasks, and it's not a good product. It's so simple. It's really it's just a notebook, but it doesn't have a desktop application. You have to get to it by the web, and there's it was not fun to use. It's not fun.
I don't think Todoist has a desktop application.
Yes, it does.
I don't care. Oh, does it?
Yeah. You should get a desktop application. I wouldn't use a To-Do app without a desktop application. I'd be like,
I mean, it doesn't really make any difference to me.
Also, TikTok has such a good completion sound. It goes ping. On this topic before the fizzy though, Eleanor, I've discovered the power of building a second brain. It's the theme at the moment. I got the suggestion that you should have a completed projects list, where when you complete a project, instead of deleting them, write it down, because you'll then build up that project, and it'll be so good because you'll just have this slowly increasing completed project list. And I was like, oh, that's stupid. And I started doing it because I was doing my monthly review, so I was doing a bunch of clearing out, and I was like, oh look, I can meet this project and this project and this project. And even though some of them are stupid, like one of them was ooh, you gonna let me find it? That's not the right Obsidian.
That's a really good idea for a mental health reason as well, though.
Yeah,
just
so
having.
I've got it set up so it's even a to-do list with crossed out things. But I've in the last month I've built a second brain. I've got into my uni course, and I helped Pa find a laptop. Which they're not. Some of those aren't the biggest projects ever, but I'm really glad that I've got a note of them so that I don't forget. And it made me aware of what I've done, because I wouldn't have thought of helping Pa buy a laptop or getting an offer from uni as a project. So I never had them in my to-do system because I was stupid. I wasn't using the to-do system. I was like, no, those are 2 projects which were like a lot of steps. Helping my dad buy a laptop wasn't a 10-minute job. That was a couple hours of talking to him and research and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a really good idea. Well, it's what my therapist says you should do, so...
Oh, really? Nice.
Sam would approve.
You can tell Sam.
I now do at the end of every day I'm trying to remember to do 3 things I've done that day.
Yeah.
And now I have to do 3 gratitudes as well, so my end of day list is now 11 steps long.
Eleanor, you should set up
It's 11 really short steps.
Eleanor, you should set up a, you know what you need? You need a Python program. I could code this to you, which just asks you questions, you write it into your Python program, and then it spits out a Word document. It spits out just a text thing.
I don't need to do that, because I already have a setup. So I use an app called Pixels, where each day you choose a colour to represent how good of a day it was.
Yeah.
And then in the notes section, I write I've got a little key that means something to me. So it's like R1, R2, R3, TB, W1,
yeah.
2, 3, G1, 2, 3.
Yeah, makes sense. Gratitude. Oh, I've tried gratitude a couple times, and
So it's I either have to do gratitude or it's not 3 things I like about myself, but it's kind of like that. I can't remember what it is. Like 3 things that I appreciate about myself. Because it's the gratitude is kind of a like, oh, you can't think of anything that you're sort of like happy with you as a person. Oh, it's like 3 affirmations almost, or 3 things you're grateful for. Because if the affirmations feel like too much, you can be like, well, I might feel like I'm a terrible human being, but I have a roof over my head. That's why I like gratitudes, because the bar is super duper low.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have a family who love me.
Yeah.
And just appreciating that those kind of things aren't always there for everybody. And so the fact that you have them means that, like, it's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I should have written down what the other thing was, because I can't remember exactly what it was supposed to be.
Right, your turn. What application... Do you have other questions, or what application do you want to ask me about?
Calendars. What do you do for calendars? I feel like
Google
you might be
Calendar.
chaotic.
Google Calendar,
Oh,
because it syncs with
same.
TickTick. I used to be on Notion. Notion is not good for calendars. Just it's bad. I really like. Now I'm in Google Calendar. I now see the power of it, and I've just started thinking about scheduling. I already kind of started doing it because I schedule in when I'm going to edit this podcast. I have a slot that I try to leave open. But now I'm like, oh, I can just start planning out, like, my day. Like, I don't want... I was thinking, oh, I could do it weekly. Like, plan my week. I'm like, that's stupid. I don't know my energy. And in my day, I can go through and, like, planning my time and stuff like that. So I'm like, this will work.
Yeah. I've tried doing, like, actually planning and things, but it means that I spend more time scheduling than I actually spend doing the thing. And if I then take too long to do something, I'll feel bad about it.
So here's my plan. I want to schedule in... I massively overestimate how long I think a task will take to do, because I'd much rather leave myself too much time. So my plan is I will just schedule in time and call it, like, do a 20-minute task. And then I just go into my to-do app and pick a 10-minute or 20-minute task and just do it. Or
that's smart.
Or I don't label it as, like, I'm going to do this task now. I go work here. Like, I call it deep work when it's more than, like, 2 hours, but it's, like, a short break. Well, I don't think I'd schedule in short breaks, but it's just trying to schedule in those blocks where I've got enough time to edit a video or, like, read something or, like, those kind of tasks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good way to do it.
Because my life is busy this week. This week's wild.
Yeah. I'm really glad that so the reason I started using the, like, oh, hang on. She's froze. She's back.
That was your end.
Okay. Yeah, no, my little laptop has been struggling today. I've done 3 calls and my Wi-Fi's gone funny in all 3 of them. What was I saying? The reason that I started using Google Calendar is because the university that I'm at, all of the stuff is through Google, so I could sync my timetable with Google Calendar and then I could plan stuff around it.
I wish that could... Imagine if Lancaster had done that.
I know, really, really handy. And then, so I did that, and then because I was doing that anyway, it just became convenient to then use that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And previously, the reason I haven't liked, because I tried using Google Calendar once before, and I don't know if they've streamlined the app since I last used it, but it was like, it felt like too many clicks. It was like, whereas I could just get out my diary and write it in, I had to be like, oh, I write it in and then I pick the time and like I don't think they have streamlined it. I think I've just become more reasonable about it. And I also realised that things like I could set up the reminder system so that it was automatically the reminder I wanted, so I didn't have to change it each time. And the same thing for the colours.
Oh, you're back. Did you do that whole monologue?
I did, because I thought I might as well record it.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I have no idea what you said, but yeah, cool.
The TLDR was that it's not actually more... It's not that it's actually got easier, it's that I know how to use the app better. Yeah. And, yeah, it's just... It's... Oh, God. Sorry, caught my hand on the wire and yanked it out of my ear, and it freaked me out.
Technical difficulties.
My adrenaline is like through the roof because of my dissertation, because I've basically been like running on adrenaline all day, and I am going to be for the next 2 weeks. So,
Yes.
whew, I feel so alive. During deadline season.
What do you use for note taking?
Note taking, either Google Keep or Notion.
Cool.
I use Google Keep for like shopping lists.
Yeah, I use. Oh wait, that will just come back. Oh, she's back now. Cool. I use Google Keep for like random little things a lot of the time. I just find that really useful to use my phone. But now I'm using Obsidian more because Obsidian has like a make a today note. So now I just collect things into today's note. And then I kind of catch up on it all, and then like at some point, normally it doesn't have to be every day, but it'll be like it's not even that close to that. It's like once every 4 or 5 days. I'll go through this massive note I've collected, then like square everything off, and then and then I have a lot of legacy notes in Notion, so I keep going back into Notion for things like last night. My game was like, we want to do a pirate themed D&D game, and I was like, let me find the Notion page from the last time I did a pirate-themed D&D game. And so I just so that's really good. I've kind of got that to whack out.
Yeah, I really like Google Keep for writing a quick note, because I find that the problem with Notion is that it's too many clicks to get to where I need to put my notes.
So many clicks.
Also, the app is really slow. I don't know if that's the same on your phone.
Yeah, the app's slow on my phone as well.
Yeah. So if I'm taking a note on my phone on Notion, it's only ever because I found something on a different app that I want to save in Notion, or it's because I do some mental health stuff in there, and then it's convenient because it's more convenient to do it through the app. But then I have it saved in a really easy to get to way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I like Google Keep for things like shopping lists because it's very immediate.
Yeah. Right now I've got a Google Note which is collected Mother and Papa, where I can put stuff I know I need to buy on it, and they can put stuff if they want me to go to the shops. They're never going to do this, but theoretically they could put stuff on if they wanted me to go buy it. But they're not.
I'm going to join that note next year.
I really want them. I just want to get them to stop using the note on the fridge door that no one can read except Papa and Mother. I have no idea what's written on there.
Our dad has terrible handwriting, and Frederica has dyslexia.
I can't read it. I can't read anyone's handwriting. It's not about being terrible. I can't read handwriting.
I mean, I struggle to read his handwriting. Also, Mother does. She has to go through the shopping list and be like, "Does this say rice?"
Yeah. So yeah, no. But I mean, I'm just shopping for myself at the moment. It's great. Okay, Eleanor.
I was just gonna say, were you there when ages ago we found some of? I think it was when we were clearing out Nana's house when she moved out, and Papa found some of his old school notes, and his handwriting was really neat. It was very legible.
That's wild.
It was like, where is this now, Father?
I don't think this will be the most interesting answer, but if you're writing something like an essay or a script or whatever you're writing, what application do you write in and why?
Word. Because it's the only good one.
That is a lie. That is a straight lie.
Hot take. Google Docs can get in the bin. So, the only other things that I've used for long form writing are Notion and Google Docs.
Yeah.
Is there anything else obvious I'm missing there?
There's so many apps to write in. You've just not looked
I've used Google Keep for long form writing. I've already got Word. It does everything I want to do. Every time I use Google Docs, there's something that I want to do, and I think, oh, how do I do it? And I have to Google it. And 50% of the time, it's like, you can't use this on Google Docs. I'm like, rubbish. Get in the bin. Useless application. Same thing for all of the Google products. They are just budget office products, and I do not like them.
I use Google Docs because I like the fact that it syncs to my phone.
You can get Word on your phone.
Yeah, but it won't sync. I have to set it up with OneDrive, and I use Google.
Just put things in OneDrive.
Yeah, but I don't use OneDrive. I use Google Drive.
But they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. All the stuff is in Google Drive now, Eleanor. All my
And then-
notes are in Google Drive. All my photos are in
But
Google
all of
Drive.
my stuff is in OneDrive, and I have more space on OneDrive.
Also,
because our parents are
Word
paying
just
for it.
looks bad. It's just not a good-looking application. And
I mean, yes,
when you're
I
on
think
Word,
that, but
when
also
you're on
Google
Word,
Docs is on the on Chrome, and I don't want to use it through a
that's
web
your first
browser.
mistake. You're using Chrome, and then also
Yeah, the web
on
browser, it doesn't
Word-
matter. I don't
on
like that I'm using
Word,
it through a web browser.
Word either the screen is like when I'm using Word, there's this massive bar up the top. I don't use any of that because I use keyboard shortcuts. I'm not a gremlin.
You can get rid of the massive bar at the top.
Yeah, but I'm lazy. And then there's massive
It's
bars
so
down
easy
both
to do.
sides, and then there's a bar across the bottom, right? And it's like
What bars down both
there's just
sides?
grey unused space on my other side.
Yeah, because it's A4.
Yeah. Then on Google, it's a much slimmer, nicer looking bar with good hotkeys that I use, so I don't have to look at all of that stuff. Then it's still got the space, but instead of sometimes randomly showing you 2 pages, which I don't want, it can do an infinitely long page, which I'm never writing with real paper. I don't care where it fits on the page.
You can do an infinitely long page in Word. I also never want that feature.
And it has the navigation option on the left-hand side, which I love.
The Word also has the navigation option.
But
it is
sucks.
crap, though.
The
It's rubbish.
navigation in Word sucks.
So I do like using Google Docs specifically for when I want something with the navigation options. So I was using it before I discovered Notion. I was using it for my D&D campaign notes. So I was writing all the campaign notes for our Cursed Strahd game. And then that was really handy because they just like came up. I would never use Word for that sort of thing. But for like writing an essay, Word all the way, because it's got so many more features than Google Docs. And the reason that I would never use Notion is because, and I mean, obviously Notion doesn't have half the features, but it also doesn't let you do subscripts and superscripts. They're like little numbers above and below, which, as a scientist, are a necessity. I use that more than I use underline.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I am now writing long form stuff in Obsidian because I can link to my note, I can link to notes, and I can have, like, I was writing something the other day where I had a checklist of the things I needed to write on another page, and it was just a little box, and you can have like the notes around you, and you can link to the note, so when you read it back and you go, am I correct there? You can like click on the note to find it, and you can even do stuff where like, say you've written something, like I was writing a script where I was referencing a town. If you've watched the How to Make a Town, you'll know which video it is. And so in the thing...
Or is it up now?
It's up, yeah. I just wrote exclamation point, square brackets, the name of the note, and then that note was shown in my script note, so I didn't have to rewrite everything or copy paste it. I would link, and it meant if I went and edited that town separately to the video, it would get edited, and so
that's why I think I really like that sort of thing for like writing stuff like D&D notes, where it's all kind of connected ideas.
Eleanor, think about how good it will be for writing an essay, because
Why would that be useful for writing an essay?
Okay, so Eleanor, or like a project report, I don't know, because say you've been all term, you've been taking your notes in the lecture and on the reading you've done for the topic. You've dumped all of those into a folder, and then the first thing you do is you just put all of those notes on the page, and you can move them around, and you can be like, oh, this note, like, you just look at all the notes, you go, oh, this is all the notes that kind of vaguely are this topic, and these are all these topics' notes. How do these link together? Okay, now I've got an essay structure, and you just do that as your first step.
All I had to do when I was writing my notes was copy and paste them from Notion into Word. Yeah. Which I would have had to do anyway because I couldn't, because my notes are all on the bottom of PowerPoint slides.
Yeah.
And I have so many. There is so much content for my course.
Yeah.
That if you were to copy all of the notes into a single file, it would be like 500 pages long.
Yeah. But the most Obsidian files are Markdown, so they're like tiny. But yeah, no, I get you. Like, yeah, you wouldn't...
it wouldn't be practical. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, unless I want that in the final document, I don't want all those links that I then have to go through and get rid of at the end.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes I use citations. So when I'm writing a literature review, say, which obviously I appreciate is not what the majority of people are doing, but if you, like me, are a budding wannabe PhD student and you're writing a literature review, when I'm writing my notes, I will write, like, here is what I have learned, blah, 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 facts, and then I'll put in all the citations. So I'm linking them, and to be honest, you can't do that in something like Notion, because Notion would make a rubbish citation manager. So I also use Word a lot because when I'm, well, okay, this is the real thing with Word, because Word has citation plugins. Like it's got systems that sync with a citation manager, and all of the work that I'm doing, I'm using lots of citations. So some of my essays were like, so my literature review for my dissertation was 40 citations, and one of my essays was more than that, and that was a 2,000 word essay. I think in STEM, it's just really not very practical to use anything other than Word.
Yeah.
I say STEM
reckon...
in STEM. Mathematicians, latex is all the way.
Yeah, I think there's probably like a specialist application out there.
I have used another writing thing. Yeah. I've used LaTeX.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, which is only worth the trouble if you're doing maths.
Did you just say math? Did you just say math, Eleanor?
No, I said maths. Maths.
Good. I just, for a second, I was like...
Don't accuse me of these things.
Eleanor, ask me it's your turn to ask what sort of application type.
Oh. What haven't we done yet?
There's a really obvious one. It won't be interesting. I'm saving that one for like the last, but it won't be an interesting one. But I know one I can ask at some point.
So I've thought of one, but I don't know whether I've got a more kind of worky one I can think of. So I'm just scrolling through. Just
ask. It doesn't matter. We can get
photos.
Oh, Google Photos.
How do you? So I use Google Photos, but because I'm paranoid, I back them up onto Snapfish.
Do you not back them onto Google Photo?
No, because I then delete them off my phone.
Oh, I don't. I just there's some photos that aren't on my phone that are in my Google Photos. All my photos get backed up into Google Photo.
So I have a really regimented system with my photos.
Yeah.
I find that the album system in Google Photos I find quite annoying, and it has limited space.
Oh, see, I pay Google for space.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point. Google keeps sending me angry messages, so I need to go through my photos.
It's £2 a month. It's £2 a month.
That's £24 a year.
But for like 2 gigabytes.
That's a lot of money if I don't have to spend it.
It's £24 a year, Eleanor.
But it's if I can last, every month that I don't do that and can last out a bit longer, I save myself money. And if I'm getting to the point, oh god, my ears are too small and it's really annoying. Every time I get to the point where I can, where's my brain? You got me talking about Google Docs, and now I'm fueled by like an impassioned rage, and everything has left my brain except for my hatred of Google Docs.
You were asking about Google. We were talking about Google Photos.
Yes. So every month I go through all of my photos on my phone, and then I put them into Google Photos, and then every few months, like after a few months, I'll delete them off my phone because I don't want them clogging up space on my phone.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, my phone now probably has a lot more space, but my previous phones, space was much more of a commodity. Yeah. So it was important that I didn't clog it up with photos when I could be using it for the many, many apps that I want.
I go through and delete my screenshots occasionally, like about once a year, I just go into the folder and I should delete all of these, and then they all go.
Oh, that hurts me. So I go through, I put them all into a folder, and so what I do is I gather them all from camera, from where I've downloaded things from Messenger and WhatsApp, and I put them all into the month folder, and then the month folders go into essentially like a quarterly folder on Google Photos. So I have 2022, January to April, and then
I just
May to
have photos, bro. I have a folder which is called Me, where I put all the nice photos. How do you find
anything?
When do you need to find anything? I just
go
all
by
the
date. Time.
I just go by date.
It's so much easier to do it through an album though, because then if you're like, oh, I know that this happened winter this year, you can do it in the album.
Or you can just slide and it goes 2022 winter. And then you just goes there.
I just find it so much easier to do in albums. And then I can have specific holidays will have their own album. And then once that whole term fills up, I then copy it across to Snapfish.
Yeah.
Except that the Snapfish, Google Photos to Snapfish thing has stopped working properly.
Ooh.
So that system has been ruined. And when I called up customer service to try and sort it out, they asked me the same question 4 times. And then I asked to speak to their manager, and then the same person emailed me. And I got so angry, I went full Karen. Well, I mean, at that point, I'd already asked to speak to the manager, but I was like, look, you clearly don't understand what I'm talking about. Please, can I speak to someone who isn't just reading answers off a sheet of paper? And they were like, yeah, sure you can. And then I got an email from the same person. I was like, go away! Stop emailing me! And they never fixed it. So my system has been ruined. I think also I, with photos, very much feel that I don't like having lots of photos clogging up my life. When you come back from a holiday, you're like, oh, I want all of these photos because all of these precious memories. And then like a year from that, you're going to be like, oh, I don't remember half of this stuff. I don't need the photos in my life. Also, I don't need 3 photos of the same view from the Eiffel Tower. You know, I can just have one of them. So I'm also pretty brutal about going back through old photos and deleting all the ones I don't care about, or selfies that make me cringe now.
I take the view that so far in human existence, storage of information has got cheaper and cheaper. So when I'm 80, the photos I keep will cost me nothing. But I think I quite like occasionally, I'll just go back and just scroll through photos. Just be like, oh look, what was I doing this month? It has some value.
I love having the photos, but I don't love... Like, I like having a select few photos. If I have too many photos, I never look at them. So that's why...
I've never looked at photos anyway, so it makes a difference how many I'd have.
Yeah. Also, I just like... Sometimes there's things that I think are funny at the time, and then I'm like, no, I don't need that. So I think, for me, knowing that I have loads of photos is almost like a weight on my mind. I'm like, I don't need those. And I know half of them are just like cringy screenshots or things that don't make sense anymore. And I don't need them in my life. I think also there's now, what I've realized is, I feel like now that it's so easy to take photos, I sound like such a boomer saying this, but I remember when we had disposable cameras and it was a very different kettle of fish. When I was a very young child, we had a disposable camera. I remember us getting a digital camera for the first time. I also remember us getting a CD player and a DVD player, and my mind is blown by the DVD
Dinosaur.
player. So, like, now that it's really easy to take photos, it's almost an expectation that every time you go to like a social gathering or you do like a nice event, you have to have a photo of it to remember that moment. And you don't need a photo of every time you go out for a meal with the same group of friends, because the photo is kind of always the same. And so I now try not to take photos unless it's like...
I'm mega,
or I take the photos and then I delete them.
I don't like posed photos. Any photo that's posed, I just don't think it's that good. Like an occasion, a random selfie kind of works sometimes, but a lot of the time when it's like a posed photo where you get someone to take the photo and you're like, I just don't think those photos are good, you know? Like,
I think mostly I prefer photos of me that are posed.
No, the best photos of me are the I mean, the best photos of me...
You also can't smile in photos. Sorry.
You haven't seen my long collection of selfies I've taken of myself. You don't...
You are getting... But when someone asks to take a photo of you, you go... You don't lift up the corners of your mouth, they just go outwards.
I take photos of myself these days. I just don't like doing it for other people. Like...
Yeah. I've been criticised by people for having the same smile in every photo. And I'm like, what other smile would you like me to have?
I know.
I only have the one.
People are
and if
stupid.
I try and do a different... Oh, you're having cat content?
Oh, she's so good at not the
TikTok Tether Time, it's cat o'clock.
Oh, this is gonna be a short. She's just leaving.
I'm so excited. Jess,
she just left.
Come back.
She just left, bro. She didn't love you.
I miss you so much.
You were here like 2 days ago.
I'm coming back on
What
Friday
do you
as
want
well.
from me? Okay, we're
I'm
just
gonna
gonna
go
leave
fresh
the...
butchers.
Okay, right. I mean, I've got one more type of application I can ask about. I
Okay,
really hope the
and then we
memes are
should
picking
finish
up on camera. I think it'd be funny.
I
think
just
it's
heard
good.
one.
Yeah. Email.
Gmail. Well, no. So I use
Gmail.
I use
No, actually, I don't
Outlook
use
for.
Gmail.
Oh, actually, my email situation is quite interesting. So I have to use Gmail for uni, and I don't really like it. Partly, I just think the user interface is quite ugly.
Yeah. Why don't you
and that
just set
puts
up
me
a
off.
forward to forward all of your emails from Gmail to your main account?
It's not worth it. I'm only here for 1 year. God, put them all in my personal account? Absolutely not.
Or set up a fake account.
Also, not worth it. It's, and I'd be worried that they wouldn't go across something. It just isn't quite. But also, then when I reply to the email, I have to make sure it's then replying from my uni email.
Yeah.
And there will potentially be issues about like security that it wouldn't work. So for 1 year of uni, it just wasn't worth the bother because I think Gmail is quite ugly, and it forced me to learn how to use Gmail effectively, which has been handy. So for my personal email, I use Outlook, which I really like. I use it in the web version. I don't like the desktop app.
Ooh, hot take.
I find it. I don't like the way the screen is set up very much, but also I find it.
Okay, so my hot take on email is the fact that it's pointless. And email is the highest thing in my life of no value. Like, the variance of an email is so insane. Because you get these emails which have less than no value because you just didn't even want them. And you get the emails where if you don't reply to them, you fail your degree. Like,
yeah, right.
It's so dumb and I hate it. Whenever
so I
loved Teams.
I have a hack.
I loved Teams at Lancaster because the important people would message you through Teams, and it was amazing because Teams had really high value in my uni life, and email had none. And occasionally I miss emails, people are like, why didn't you check your emails? And I'm like, because I went through, in the last week, listeners, I have been through 1,000 emails. I replied to none of them. I saved 5. The rest went one look at the half of them. I just looked at who sent me them. I deleted them, so I unsubscribed from a lot of emails. But they have so little value, and it just hurts me.
So I have a tip for that. This doesn't help with the low value emails, but it helps with not losing the high value emails. Which is, I set up. This was actually my boyfriend's idea. So he did this when he was applying for jobs, and I thought it was a really good idea, so I stole it. Set up a second email account, which you use for things like applying for jobs.
Yeah.
And you use that just for that. I made the mistake of setting up my bills with it, so now I get annoying emails through that as well. But mostly, if I get an email to that account, I know that it's important, and I need to reply to it. So that is really, really handy.
I've just started practicing Inbox Zero again.
So I have that, and then I have 4 email accounts on my phone. I have uni, personal, the one I just mentioned, the like high importance one,
please tell
and then
me you just use Outlook and Gmail. You're not using like Gmail, Outlook, and...
I do them all in the Gmail app.
Oh, phew! I was scared there.
I like the Gmail app. I really like the Gmail app. I don't really like the Outlook app as much. I think part of it is all the Gmail stuff has rounded corners and all the Outlook stuff has square corners. And rounded corners make me feel safe.
Yeah. The thing that's changed how I'm using email is I had this realization that, so I think one touch to Inbox Zero works for me. The idea is that you just touch your email once and do something with it. It works for me when I'm doing it, because if I don't do something with the email straight away, I will never do anything with the email. But what I realized is I can delete emails from my phone, which I know sounds really stupid, but I read email on my phone and not do anything with the email. I just read it, leave it in my inbox. I don't know why. I hadn't considered I could move it to folders and delete it and reply to them on my phone, but I just read them and go, need to deal with that. Why wasn't I dealing with it? I don't understand. But me, like
My phone is 80% of the way that I deal with my emails, because you can delete them from the notifications.
I know. I didn't know that, but I don't have notifications for email. I'm not a Satanist. I don't need email for that little value.
She's calling me a psychopath, even
but
though
like,
I don't know what she's doing.
I don't know
because
what I
she's
was
frozen
thinking.
like
Like, oh my god, like 8 years. I've had
there we
Outlook
go.
on my phone. I've had Outlook on my phone for 5 years, and I've not considered this at any point. I've never deleted an email from my phone ever, or done anything with email. I might have replied to an email occasionally, but I'm just like, why wasn't I doing this? What was I thinking? Like,
The way that I use emails is so reliant on my phone. When I get the notification, if it's not something I don't care about, I delete it. If it's something that just needs to be moved into a folder and ignored, I do that. And then if I need to reply to it, I star it, and then on my computer I reply to all my emails.
yeah,
Although so rarely do I need to reply to emails
yeah.
that are like personal emails. Although there is someone I haven't replied to their email for like 3 months.
The tech biz Eleanor make to-dos for the emails you need to reply to.
Yeah, that's not.
It always
Well,
works
that is one
really
thing
well.
that is annoying about Google Tasks not being good, and also the fact that I don't like Gmail, is that they sync very nicely.
TikTok has an Outlook integration where you have a button where you can turn an email into a to-do.
I wonder if Todoist has an Outlook integration. It might do.
It's a bit shit, but it works.
Ooh.
The win.
How to install the Outlook integration.
Ooh.
That's so exciting. Why didn't I think of this? I know how the internet works.
Eleanor, before we finish the episode, one more type of app. What can we think of another type of app that we could grab?
No. And I need to go and hang out with my friends, so. They've invited me over for bubble tea.
You hang out with other people? Wow.
Yeah.
I feel hurt. I don't think there's any other apps I can think of. I've got one. Preferred instant messaging app. Just pick one really fast.
Messenger.
Discord. Messenger? As in Facebook Messenger?
As in Facebook Messenger.
Oh my
and I will
god.
die on that hill.
It's good, but like Eleanor.
None of my friends are on Discord.
But
I also have huge issues with Discord. Like,
okay,
not as an... Not, yeah, we're going to have to talk about Discord another time. I don't dislike Discord. I don't dislike Discord. Don't come for me, Discord people. I mean, Frederica.
I'm killing you. No, don't demonetize me.
The way that I have Discord, it doesn't work very well in my life.
I'm so disappointed.
And we're going to leave it on that cliffhanger.
Because you don't clear your because you don't clear your pings on Discord. You should clear your pings on Discord.
If Frederica doesn't kill me before we meet again.
Hey,
we do plugs now.
No, I
Subscribe.
Eleanor, I cut
like.
I cut the bit where we plugged ourselves. It didn't work. That's not. It's not episode 3. I cut it. Anyway, yeah, this has been episode 3.
I thought you said that we have to tell the listener to subscribe.
No. I've kept that bit. So it's just I didn't keep the bit where we self-plugged because I didn't like self-plugging. It doesn't work for this podcast. Anyway, this has been episode 3 of Teather Time. I hope you've enjoyed. Subscribe, like, comment, ask us a question down below if you're a listener.
Follow our Instagram. I set it up.
Yes, we have. We actually have an Instagram now. It will be.
And we will have a Twitter.
We will have a Twitter. I've sent Alan the code to activate it from my email. You can subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Tweet at us. Instagram us. I don't know how Instagramming works. What do you do on Instagram other than follow us?
Comments.
Yes, you comment.
Comments. Tell us what you do and don't like about the podcast so that we can change it, because we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah. Genuinely though, we're far enough into this now. I think some feedback would be useful. Like, I feel like we've got to a point where it's not awful. Like, these are viewable episodes. So if you are this far into the podcast, we genuinely really value your opinion, because you've listened to us talk for a while. You must have had a thought other than to listen to it to this level. That's a good you found. You just say, no, it's perfect the way you are. The only thing that's not letting you be good is you don't have anyone listening to you right now. The algorithm will accept you soon, which I don't think is true. But so yeah, we genuinely value your feedback. Tell us. Yeah. So this has been Teather Time episode 4. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.